I want to start today with a pretty uncomfortable reality.
Okay.
We are living in what is, I mean, you could argue it's the golden age of productivity.
Oh, absolutely. The apps, the
Yeah, we
systems.
have all of it.
Yeah.
The smart journals, the Kanban boards, the endless notifications telling you to stand up or drink water.
Right.
We've never been better at planning our success. And
Yeah.
yet, if you look at the data, or I mean, honestly, just look around your own friend group,
hmm
the actual success rate of those big life-changing goals, it hasn't really budged.
It is the great paradox, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the paradox of modern self-help. We have more maps than ever, but people just seem to be getting lost more often.
Exactly. And the source material we're deep diving into today suggests that, well, maybe the map itself is the problem.
Or the way we're reading it.
Or the order in which we look at the map, yeah.
Yeah.
We're unpacking the teachings of Brad Sugars today.
Right. The founder of Action Coach.
Huge figure in business coaching, and he makes this claim that, frankly, it just stops you in your tracks.
It really does. He points to a specific question, a question that most, responsible, logical people ask right after setting a goal.
It's the question that makes you feel like you're being an adult.
Yes. And he calls it the single most dangerous question you can ask,
The question is, how am I going to do this?
which it sounds completely insane at first, doesn't it?
Total.
I mean, how is the bridge? How is the strategy? If I don't ask how, am I not just, wishing on a star?
Exactly. But Sugars argues that asking how too early is the #1 reason people stay stuck.
In mediocrity.
So today, our mission is to basically dismantle that goal, plan, act model that we were all taught in school
And replace it.
and replace it with what Sugars calls the 30x life formula. And just a heads up for you listening right now, if you're the type person who loves buying the course but hates finishing it.
Or you have that business idea that's been in a notebook for 3 years.
Yes, this one is specifically for you.
And this isn't just about business,
Mhm.
It's really about the mechanics of achievement itself. Right. And to really understand why he has such a problem with the how question, we have to go back, like 30 years back.
Okay.
Because this wasn't some theory he just came up with in a library. It was born out of a personal catastrophe.
It's a pretty classic rise and fall story, but the details are what matter here. He was a young guy, a prodigy, right?
Was, yeah. In his early 20s, Shivers was already flying high. He was running a company, making some serious money.
I thought he had it all figured out.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then he got a really brutal lesson in partnership. As he puts it, he found out his business partners liked his money more than they liked him.
That is a very polite way of saying they cleaned him out.
Completely. They took all the funds and just disappeared.
Wow.
So, picture it. You're a young mogul one day, and the next, you're literally moving back into your childhood bedroom.
Broke. With your parents.
Your entire identity is just
Okay.
shattered.
See, that's the moment where most people would pivot to safety. You go get a job, you keep your head down.
You mourn the loss.
You mourn the loss of the money, and you tell yourself, well, at least I tried.
And that's exactly where he was. He's sitting there, feeling sorry for himself, staring at the ceiling and asking that question. What am I going to do? How do I get it all back?
And his father comes in.
His father walks in and gives him a piece of advice that really, it frames this entire deep dive.
And it wasn't exactly a shoulder to cry on.
Not at all.
No.
His dad just asked him, Brad, you've made $1 million already, right? And Brad says, yeah, but it's gone.
And his dad just says,
I'll look again.
it sounds so dismissive on the surface.
A little bit, yeah.
Like telling someone who's depressed to just, cheer up. But there's a really important principle hidden in that statement.
There is. His father was making a distinction between tangible assets and intangible assets.
Okay.
The partner stole the money. That's just the scorecard.
Mm-hmm.
But they couldn't steal the mechanism that created the score.
Right. They couldn't take his knowledge of marketing, his sales skills.
His understanding of systems, all the stuff that actually generated the money.
I think that's where people get confused about the idea of net worth. We think it's the number in the bank. But what Sugars is arguing here is that your true net worth is your capacity to get results.
That's the whole concept. It's what you fall back on when everything else is gone.
Yeah.
What do you have left? You have you. You have your skills.
So if you're $1 million earner in terms of skill, the fact that there's no money in the bank is just such
A temporary accounting error.
I like that, an accounting error.
It'll correct itself. So he rebuilds, he proves his dad was right, and builds Action Coach into this global empire. But in doing that, he starts seeing a pattern in the people he coaches.
Okay.
He sees people who want to build something, but they fail. And they fail because they don't trust that internal asset. They're obsessed with the external path, which brings us right back to how.
Right. Let's play this out. So you set a big goal. Let's say I want to double my income this year. What is the very first thing your brain screams at you? I don't know how to do that. And then right after that, that sounds impossible.
Exactly. And because you don't know how, what's the emotion that follows?
Oh, anxiety, uncertainty, maybe that little voice, the imposter syndrome.
You feel foolish for even writing it down.
Yeah.
And Sugars argues this is a structural flaw in our thinking. If the goal is a true stretch goal, something you've never done before, then, well, by definition,
You don't know how to do it.
you do not know how to do it. If you know how, you would have already done it.
That's the kicker, isn't it? The how is invisible because you're not that person yet.
Yes. Asking, how do I do this? When you're a level 1 character, trying to beat a level 50 boss is just a fast track to panic. You stare into the void stares back, and you quit. You decide the goal is unrealistic just because you can't see the path from where you're standing today.
It's like standing at the base of a mountain in thick fog. You can't see the path, so you just assume there isn't one.
That is a perfect analogy. And Sugars says the fog is simply a lack of knowledge. So we have to change the question. If how causes panic, what question causes progress?
This is the big shift.
Sugars pivots the whole thing from external execution to internal growth. So instead of, how do I do this? The questions become,
Who do I need to become?
what skills do I need to acquire? What do I need to learn?
This reminds me of that old be-do-have model. Most people think, if I have the money, I'll do the things and then I'll be a success.
What is backward?
It's completely backward. It's, I must be the person with the skills, then I will naturally do the work, and then I will have the result.
That is it, 100%.
Right.
Sugars calls this growing into your goals. The version of you that exists right now is perfectly capable of getting the results you have right now.
You're right.
If you want different results, you need a different version of you.
Okay, so let's make this really practical, because growing as a person can sound a little bit like a motivational poster in a dentist's office.
A bit vague, yeah.
Sugars has an actual formula for this. We mentioned the standard one. Goal, then plan, then act.
Which is what, 99% of people do. I set the resolution, that's the goal. I write a schedule, that's the plan. I try to go to the gym, that's the act.
And by February.
Thump on the couch.
So where's the break in that chain? Why does that model fail so often?
Sugars inserts a massive critical step right between goal and plan. The correct formula is dream, goal, learn, plan, act.
The learn phase, that's the missing bridge.
That is the entire gap. And this, for me, this is my favorite insight from the whole deep dive.
Okay.
Sugars points out that if you try to write a plan before you've done the learning, your plan is absolutely doomed.
Because you're just planning with your old brain. You're using the same operating system that got you into this situation to try and get you out of it.
He puts it very bluntly, and he actually apologizes for his Australian language in the source material, but he says, if you plan with your current level of knowledge, your plan will just be to do more of the same stupid stuff you did before.
Wow. That hits hard.
It does.
But it's so true. If I don't know how to invest and my plan is to get rich, my plan is probably just save more or work more hours.
Right. You're just recycling your own ignorance.
Exactly.
The plan is the how, but the how only gets revealed after you've acquired new inputs. You can't plan a war if you don't know the terrain.
Right.
The learn phase is where you stop trying to output effort and you start inputting data. You find mentors, read the books, listen to the deep dives.
This actually takes a huge amount of pressure off, because when I set a big, scary goal, like writing a book or something, my immediate next step isn't go achieve it. My immediate next step is just go study.
It makes the impossible actionable. You might not know how to build a tech startup from scratch.
No idea.
But do you know how to buy a biography of Elon Musk?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how to search for a course on coding?
Yes.
Everyone knows how to learn.
It prevents that paralysis, but I want to push back on this a little bit.
Go for it.
We all know those professional students, the people who just read and learn and never actually do anything.
A PhD in theory, but broke in practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a real danger.
So how does Sugars prevent the learn phase from becoming just another form of procrastination?
That's a great question. But he frames the learning as specifically targeted. It's targeted toward the plan. You're not just learning for trivia's sake, you are learning to find the how.
How?
The moment the how becomes clear because you read the book or talked to the mentor, you move immediately to planning. The learning has a specific job to do.
So it's a search mission, not a wandering mission. You're looking for the key to unlock the next door.
Correct. And it starts with a very specific mechanical act. He is so adamant about this, you have to write it down.
Which sounds like the most basic advice in the world.
It is.
Write down your goals. We hear it everywhere.
It is basic, but he distinguishes it from, the magic thinking. He hates that law of attraction idea where you just write, I want a Ferrari, and wait for it to appear.
That's not what this is.
Not at all. He says it's nonsense. But he argues writing it down is a matter of physics.
Physics? How so?
You are taking a thought, which is just electrical energy in your brain. It's totally intangible. And you are transmuting it into ink on paper. It's the very first step of physical creation. If you can't even manifest the goal onto a piece of paper, you have no chance of manifesting it into your life.
That makes sense. It's the first time the goal actually enters the real world.
Right.
Now, for the people listening who stare at that blank page and just freeze, and I know you're out there, Sugars is a great hack for this.
Yeah.
Because what do I want is a really hard question sometimes.
It's a huge question. We're often conditioned not to want things, or we're just so overwhelmed we don't know where to start. So he suggests the anti-goal.
The anti-goal. Okay, how does that work?
Well, humans are just wired to detect threats and pain. We're much better at knowing what we hate than what we love.
So true.
So you start there. You write down everything you don't want. I don't want to be in debt. I don't want to be embarrassed when the bill comes. I don't want to feel sluggish in the morning.
That list flows pretty easily for most of us. We love to complain.
We are experts in our own misery. But once that list is on paper, you just pivot. You write the exact opposite next to it.
So I don't want to be in debt becomes...
I want financial independence.
Yeah.
I don't want to be sluggish becomes I want vitality and health.
It's like a back door into your own ambition. You're using your negativity to locate your positivity.
And he gives a very specific challenge here.
Yeah.
He says, don't just think about this. He tells the audience to set aside 1 hour, specifically between 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. tonight.
I like the specificity. It kills the I'll get to it later excuse. Any reason for that time?
I think it's because it's usually a time when the workday is done, dinner is over, and we just default to passive consumption.
Scrolling on the phone, watching TV.
Right. He's asking you to reclaim that 1 hour.
So that is the homework for everyone listening. Tonight, 7 to 8. Turn off the TV, sit down, write the anti-goals, flip them to the goals, and then, and this is the key part, identify the learning.
Yes. Don't write the business plan. Write the syllabus.
Exactly. Ask yourself, to achieve this goal, what do I need to know that I don't know now? That becomes your curriculum.
And once you have the curriculum, the plan almost starts to write itself because you're operating from informed strategy, not from blind hope.
I want to zoom out for a second to the philosophy behind all this, because Sugars leans really heavily on his mentor, the late, great Jim Rohn.
Oh, yeah. The godfather of personal development.
And Sugars quotes him often. There's one specific line from Rohn that just synthesizes this whole growth mindset. Rohn used to say, never wish your life were easier, wish that you were better.
Wish that you were better.
Oh.
It's more that tough love, isn't it? It puts all the responsibility right back on you.
It does, but it's also incredibly liberating. Because if the problem is life is too hard, you're a victim. You can't control the economy or the market.
Right, but if the problem is I am not yet good enough, well, that's solvable.
It reframes difficulty not as a wall, but as a weight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Think about the gym. If you tried to lift 200 pounds and you can't, you don't say, gravity's unfair.
You don't say, I wish this iron was lighter.
You say, I need stronger muscles.
Yeah.
The weight is constant. The person has to change.
Sugars applies this directly to skills. He says, if you get better at sales, sales gets easier.
If you get better at investing, wealth gets easier. The difficulty isn't in the task itself. Difficulty is just a measurement of your current incompetence.
Ouch. That stings, but it's true. Competence makes things feel easy.
Yeah.
We tend to think successful people are just grinding harder 20 hours a day, but Sugar seems to be implying they're actually working easier than us.
Because they have the skills. It's the who versus the how all over again. The master salesperson makes $1 million with a few phone calls. The novice makes 100 calls and makes 0.
The how, picking up the phone, is the same.
But the who is completely different.
And this brings it all full circle. Brad Sugars didn't panic when he lost his money because he was already a heavy lifter in business. He knew he could lift that weight again.
Exactly. He had the muscle memory of success.
So if we recap this whole journey, we've gone from the disaster of losing everything, to realizing skills are the only true asset, to the practical formula of putting learning before planning.
And it all comes back to that one dangerous question. When you ask how, you're looking for a trick to manipulate the world. When you ask, what do I need to learn, you're looking for a way to upgrade yourself.
And the upgraded version of you doesn't need to ask how.
The upgraded version just knows. When you are the person who can do it, the how becomes obvious. It feels effortless.
Okay, so let's wrap this up with a really clear directive. We've given everyone the 7 to 8 p.m. homework. Write the goals, find the learning gap. What's the one thing they should put on a Post-it note for tomorrow morning?
I'd say it's that sequence. Dream, goal, learn, plan, act. If you find yourself stuck, just check the sequence. You probably skipped learn.
And don't settle for a plan that's just recycling your old habits. If the plan doesn't scare you a little or require you to open a book you haven't read,
It's probably not a growth plan. Your future life cannot be built with your current tools. You have to go get new tools.
Now, before we sign off, we always like to leave you with a final provocative thought, something that wasn't explicitly in the source material but kind of grows out of it.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about adding things, adding skills, adding knowledge, becoming more. But there is a flip side to this.
There is. If the whole idea is that you have to grow into your goal, that you have to become a different person to achieve it, then there's an uncomfortable question about subtraction.
What do you mean by subtraction?
Well, the question is this. If your goal requires you to become a different person, which part of your current self do you need to kill off today?
Wow, that's heavy. So it's not just about reading a book, it's about letting go of something.
Maybe it's your need to be liked. Maybe it's your habit of sleeping in. Maybe it's a friendship that's keeping you small. You can't walk through the door of your new life carrying all the baggage of your old one.
The old you cannot achieve the new goal.
Exactly. So tonight at 7 p.m., while you're writing down what you need to learn, maybe also write down what you need to leave behind.
Thanks for deep diving with us. Good luck with the homework.
See you next time.